July 23, 1968, in a very short period of time, a number of police officers were killed and wounded. Based on police radio broadcasts, police reports, statements, the shootings began at 8:23 p.m. when a suspect fired a shot at police car 961. 1 minute later, at 8:24 p.m., Cleveland tow truck operator William McMillan, while in the middle of the street on Beulah Avenue between Lakeview and East 123rd, was shot multiple times. 3 minutes later, at 8:27 p.m., Patrolman Kenneth Gibbons, while on the sidewalk in front of 12312 Auburndale, was shot multiple times. 2 minutes later, at 8:29 p.m., Patrolman Wolf, while in the front yard of 12312 Auburndale, was shot and killed. 2 minutes later, at 8:31 p.m., Patrolman Chester Sokolsky, who was a passenger traveling in Mobile Patrol 591, which was operating north on East 123rd, was shot multiple times. At the same time of 8:31 p.m., Chester Sokolsky's partner, Patrolman Joseph McManaman, who was driving Mobile Patrol 591 at that time, was grazed by a bullet. 3 minutes later, at 8:34 p.m., Sergeant Sam Levy, who was walking in the driveway between the Lakeview Tavern and 12312 Auburndale, was shot multiple times. At that same moment of 8:34 p.m., Lieutenant Elmer Joseph, who was about 10 feet behind Sergeant Levy and was standing on the sidewalk in front of the Lakeview Tavern, was shot twice. 8 minutes later, at 8:42 p.m., Lieutenant Leroy Jones was walking west on the sidewalk in front of 12314 Auburndale when he was shot multiple times and killed. 2 minutes later, at 8:44 p.m., Patrolman Thomas Smith, who was in the street in front of the Lakeview Tavern and was attempting to rescue the wounded Sergeant Levy, was shot multiple times. 3 minutes later, at 8:47 p.m., Patrolman Ernest Rowe, who was in the street and was attempting to rescue the wounded Sergeant Levy, was shot. 1 minute later, at 8:48 p.m., Patrolman Richard Hart was shot the first time while standing between 1416 and 1420 Lakeview. He was shot again as he ran onto Lakeview Avenue in front of those addresses. 2 minutes later, at 8:50 p.m., Patrolman Louis Galanka, while walking in the rear yard of 1395 Lakeview, was shot and killed as a result of 2 shotgun blasts. 2 minutes later, at 8:52 p.m., Patrolman Angelo Santamaria was shot in the street in front of 12314 Auburndale as he was attempting to rescue the wounded Lieutenant Jones. Then, just 23 minutes later, at 9:15 p.m., Patrolman Leonard Salkowitz was shot while on Lakeview at Auburndale while attempting to locate the position of the shooters. Then 45 minutes later, at 10 p.m., Patrolman Joseph Katanka was grazed by a gunshot in front of the Lakeview Tavern while assisting in the recovery of the wounded Sergeant Levy and Patrolman Smith. And finally, 15 minutes later, at 10:15 p.m., Anthony Sherbinsky was shot while standing on the second-story porch which separates the Lakeview Tavern and 12312 Auburndale and was attempting to determine where the shooters were located. That's a grand total of 3 police officers killed and 13 wounded in that short period of time.
First off in trouble, 127 girls. telephone thing that's good in your name, man. Okay. How do I do that? What's the look up there? Let me check on the base. That area where they're saying the ground. All the guys around with everyone crazy. 3 rescues where they're at. All the standing with close windows. After a function of the food, let's hear the Finland commanding. It's a serious matter. The top confirmed as some of the leaders involved in that. Good contact. 5-8. Captain of 5-8. I just set the back on. That's the front. He shot. Eyesight.